bread and how easy it is. So this is some 100% wheat from the mill, and stone grinding actually produces a very different flour to roller milling, which is how most flour is produced. It does have wheat germ oil in it, and stone grinding actually this just shows that the wheat germ oil is in it. The wheat germ is taken out of roller mill flour. So I need, being very fanatically organic and biodynamic here, we use organic yeast. We've just got some. Amazingly, it has to come from Germany, but we feel very strongly about this. Organic bread in this country doesn't actually have organic yeast in. You need, I'm going to never weigh anything. I'm going to have enough dough to make a loaf, a pound loaf, and a few buns, I hope. And this is the yeast, which is a very generous 2 teaspoons of organic yeast, but just a teaspoon of non-organic yeast. Tiny, tiny bit of salt. You don't actually need to put any salt in your bread at all, and I normally don't, but I'm making a very token effort. And then hot water. The water can be, as long as you can get your hands in, sort of half boiling and half cold. And you have to, when you've done this a few times, it isn't a problem. You have to guess how much water to put in, and actually if you overdo it, it isn't a bad thing. It's easier to get a dough, and I have overdone it. It's easier to get a dough from wet than it is from dry. So we'll just put a bit more flour in. And this is now to achieve a really nice, wet, soft dough, which will then have a rest. And while it's having a rest, it will soak up the water and it will dry out a bit, which is why it's going to be nice and sticky now. And then you can, once you've made your dough, you can leave it, and I guess I need to give some vague idea of how much flour. It's about 12 to 14 ounces of flour to a pound loaf, about 3/4 of a pint of water. But the great thing about bread making is it's really difficult to learn from a book. You have to practice, because books are very precise, and the amount of water you need will constantly vary. So this is the dough now. Just a very quick need to mix it, really, more than anything. Just a few seconds on a board with a little bit of dry flour. And when you turn it upside down, if it's got a really nice top, then that's fine. So that needs to have a rest now for 20 minutes, an hour. Bread is amazingly adapted. Now this is a dough I made about 2 hours ago, and this was extremely wet. I knew that I wouldn't be doing anything with it for a couple of hours, so I think I'll have to have the board back. So after a couple of hours, it's actually soaked up a lot of water and is much drier. It was incredibly sticky. And this needs a little bit of kneading, but most people are thrilled to discover they don't have to do very much kneading. Our wheat, we have 2 farmers who grow most of our wheat for us. They're biodynamic farmers, which is so this is enough kneading now. So what I'm going to do, I've got a pound tin. Now you can see our tins have been extremely well used, and it's a proper bread tin. You can hear it's double skinned, and the tin is very, very important. Modern tins are terribly thin, and they let the heat in too quickly, so that sometimes it's not cooked in the middle. So now this is 100% whole wheat. And so what you need to achieve now is fill the tin 2/3 with the dough, and then you do moulding, which is making it into a rectangle, rolling it up, turning it 90 degrees with the join facing you, and do this again 3 times, and the 3rd time is going to go in the tin, so it needs to be the right size. And you can see this is it's the right shape. If you'd like to score it, which you don't need to do, and this is just if you'd like to, you need to do nice deep scoring. And I'm going to put some cracked wheat on the top, so I'm going to paint it with milk. It can be milk and water, it can be soya milk, but if you want to stick something on, you need to do that so that it'll stick. So that's it. So it's going to rise now, and I feel people don't have warm places for bread to rise anymore, so I feel that if you're at home, it can just sit around until it's actually risen. It will take quite a long time, probably a couple of hours.
Basically what's happening is that it's just cooling down through, there's a hole in the bottom of the hopper, and really raw level it starts to pile up, and then it works its way out between the actual millstones. Obviously you've got a small gap between the stones as they're grinding around, and the grain immediately is ground into flour.
Let's have a look at the bread, which has been here for well over an hour now. And this one is definitely ready to go in. If you touch it, it could almost do with a moment more, but it's almost jumping back, so we'll put this one in more. So it needs a really hot oven, more than 200 centigrade, just over 25 minutes for a loaf. The little one will probably take 20 minutes, and 10 to 15 minutes for buns, and that's it.